myself, you already all know. I've just come down from ICNA, where we had a session of, Sister ICNA was there as well. 3 levels of government came together with the executive at ICNA to talk about building bridges. And so that was a very good session as well, but I'm delighted to be able to join you for a little while. I know you have a number of really dynamic speakers coming, so I won't take too long of your time because many of them are in the room arriving already. I was asked to speak a little bit about women's issues. So that's what I'm happy to do for a few minutes, just to get you thinking on why it's important that women are participating in the workforce, why women are in business, why women are in politics. And this comes on the heels of, because it was 1 month ago that was International Women's Day, and we talked, the theme was creating parity, and we're still working on creating parity. So I thought that that would be a nice topic to talk to you about, and I wanted to thank the ICNA Sisters of Canada, and particularly Shabana Wahid for inviting me today. I really am grateful for the opportunity to come out and speak to you. So International Women's Day, it sounds like a collegial event, and it is, but what you don't realize is that it's actually celebrated all over the world. There are different countries that celebrate in different ways. I'm European by background. I'm Polish, if you didn't know. And in Poland, International Women's Day is bigger than Mother's Day. I had no idea. And men and boys and sons and fathers buy their mothers and their sisters gifts like we would on Mother's Day. And I thought that was very interesting. And my own son called me about a month ago. He's studying in the UK, and he called to say, Happy International Women's Day, Mom. I'm going out with my roommate's mother for brunch today, and I just was thinking about you, and so sorry I couldn't be with you. So he's already adapted the culture over there, and I thought that was lovely. And when we put things in a historical framework, you know that, I won't call it the women's movement, but the kind of women's rights have really evolved over the past 100 years. You know, it was only 100 years ago, next year, 1917, that we even got the right to vote here in Canada. You know, that wasn't that long ago. It scares me, and in Newfoundland it was even less time than that. And then it was 88 years ago when women became persons in our Constitution, and that was because the famous 5, we all know were nodding. One of them was going to be appointed to the Senate, but they realized she couldn't be appointed because she wasn't a person, and you needed to be a person to be appointed to the Senate. Because women weren't persons. I don't know what they were. Well, chattel, I guess. So I don't know. And you know the story of the famous 5, and of course that Agatha McPhail was the first one to get elected to Parliament in 1921. And then flash forward 50 years ago, 1967, we had the very first Royal Commission on Women's Issues. It was landmark. It was Judy LaMarche and the study of women's issues. And what did they talk about? In 1967, they made 167 recommendations. They talked about equal pay for equal work. Imagine, what a novel concept. Women who do the same work as men should get paid the same. Do we today, 50 years later? No. No, we don't. In fact, it's getting worse, not better. A few years ago, 10 years ago, we were making 77 cents for every dollar a man made. We're back to 72 cents. How does that happen? But they brought that issue forward. Paid maternity leave. Paid maternity leave. That was a novel concept. Pensions for women, national child care. That's something we're still talking about, a national child care program. They have a great program in Quebec. It'd be nice if we emulated it here in Ontario and provided those same opportunities for women across the country. ICRA, looking at you, Indira. Those are things in this province of Ontario the national government could do, national child care program. We've talked about that many times. Equal opportunities for women and access to management positions and part-time work. That was all very novel. You know my business background, so I'm not going to tell you that. I'm only going to tell you that I had a 20-year business career before I came into politics, but in between there, I did a lot of community work and sat on a number of community boards, and it was really helpful to me. I've always been politically engaged, and when I was 17, I was involved in young liberals and student activism and student politics. And so people say to me, well, when did you get into politics? Well, for me, I was always in politics. But I was always knocking on doors for someone else. Never occurred to me I should put my name on a ballot, but after having a long business career and then taking time off with my own children and being flexible, I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. Women like flexibility, and I did too, so I stepped back and started consulting from home. And I sat on a number of boards in the community, so soon I knew every organization. I did a lot of fundraising in the community, so I knew everyone who had the deep pockets. And suddenly they came calling for women politicians. And it was a lot easier for me after having spent many years in business and working actively in the community. And I had grateful for the time I had off with my kids to enter into politics. It became a natural segue. How did you get into politics? But I had some great experiences working for the multinational corporations. You heard that I worked for Disney, Walt Disney Company, McDonald's Corporation, Insurance Bureau of Canada, and of course I did an MBA, and I recently did a director's degree. And I'm certainly glad I did that director's degree because I've just been appointed onto the InterSource Merge Board, and that's going to be a huge challenge, and I relish the challenge, and I'm going to be on that board to protect our interests. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, one more thing, and then I actually had the opportunity as well to start up a company once, and an entrepreneurial spirit in me, and I'm sure many of you do. Have any of you started up companies? That's right. You know that women are twice as likely as men to start up companies. And you know why that is? Not that we're bigger risk takers as entrepreneurs, because that seems to be the hallmark of an entrepreneur, to be a risk taker. It's not that we're risk takers as much, but we just have to. Sometimes you just need to find a job or feed your family. But more importantly, women like the flexibility of having their own company and being self-employed. We don't like to report to people either, do we, ladies? No. But you know what it's like. You know what it's like. Get up in the morning, send the kids to school. At home, later on in the afternoon, while you're running around, go to the grocery store, drop some clothes in the laundry, bring the kids home, get them organized, feed them dinner, right? Feed them dinner, get their homework done, do some more laundry, then sit down and do some more work, right? That's what we do. I know that's what I do, or I used to do, and I'm still doing it today. And when we look at, I won't talk too long, I'm going to talk a little bit about why it's important to have women in business, why it's important to have women in politics, and then I'll wrap up and tell you about some important women in our community that have made a real difference, and many of them are right here with you today. So one of the important reasons women are in business and why more women should be is that we're 52% of the population, ladies, but we're only 47% of the workforce. So there's that gap that exists, and we already talked about the wage gap. And when we hear about CEOs of big companies, only 3 to 5% of them are women, right? There are still 38% of public boards that don't have women on them. And when you look at senior executives, only about 15% are still women. So you tell me, why is it important to have more women in business? Why? Anyone can venture a guess?